Peace and blessings, good people. Welcome to yet another episode of Objects in Motion. I'm your host, Matt Prestbury, and I'm a man on a journey in this thing called life, working to be the best version of me that I can possibly be. And I wanted to, along my journey, just talk to other people and find out what they're going through, what they've been through, and what the future is looking like for them and how they stay in motion. So I am super excited today for episode number, I think there's five. Yeah, this got to be number five, depending on when I put it out, but it'll be five. And it is with someone whom I have known his entire life. His entire life. I have known this guy since he was even well before his life when he was just swimming in my you know what. This is my second born son,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryce Marcel Prestbury.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yo, yes, and I'm glad to have you. This is tremendous. This is such an honor as a father to be able to talk to his son in this manner, one of his sons, and I'm hoping to get all of them on here at some point, and my
Yep.
baby girl, and be able to talk to you all. So, Bryce, just tell us, give us the quick rundown who you are, other than my son. What you got going on? What's up, Bryce?
My name is Bryce. Currently, I'm a relationship banker at Bank of America. But at the moment, I'm trying to go back to school and in pursuit of getting my degree in aerospace engineering.
Awesome. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. So, we want to get into because what I really love to talk about, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk to you as a young person, and I'm gonna share a little bit of what I've dealt with that I know we've had conversations about and all of that, and that is self-esteem for one. And I know that I have struggled with that, and I'm working now in my life to work to pour into young people and tell them about self-esteem and all of those things. And I know you and your older brother have always been people who pretty much, would walk to the beat of their own drum and not really like center their lives around what other people thought. And I respect that and I love that. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would, just in terms of the importance of really being your own person in this world and doing the things that you feel like you want to do regardless of what society and everybody else is telling you.
Hmm. Well, I think in my opinion, that's really all you really can do.
Hmm.
Just do your own thing. Because if you try to be someone you're not, try to follow someone else's footsteps, it's never going to work out well for you. Because everybody's their own person, so you have to just
Yeah,
do whatever works for you. Just find your own goal. I
no
think.
doubt. I'm sorry.
Are you good? Personally, for
That's
me, it took me a while to get to know exactly where I want to go, and I'm still trying to figure that out. So I think, you know, everybody has to take their own time and do their own thing.
Absolutely. And do you see, like, as a young person yourself, do you see people struggling with that, like even coming through high school and things like that? What would you say about that as far as the environment with young people, especially now with social media and all of this stuff? How much pressure is out there, like to fit in and all of those sorts of things?
Oh, there's so much, especially with social media nowadays, because I feel like with social media, there's a lot of just comparison
Hmm.
on there. That's really all you can do is just compare yourself to other people. But that's definitely not good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what are some things like currently? I know you're working, you have the job, but outside of that, like
Mm,
how do you work to manage? Because I know something, going understanding what I've been through. You know full well that all of the kids understand what I've been through, and I know so much of your journey. How important is it in this day and age, again, particularly for young folks, to really tap into their mental well being. Number one, like the
mm,
importance of it to you, in society. If you would talk to us a little bit about your feelings on that.
Okay. Yeah, personally, I think it's very important, especially for me. Um, I think a lot of kids nowadays don't really have a lot of people that support them when it comes to like their mental well-being. I think now it's definitely getting better than it was before, but there's still a lot of kids out there that don't have proper access to people who can actually listen to their mental health needs and actually, believe them when they say they're going through things.
Hmm. And what's some of the things like you've done in terms of taking charge of your mental health? How have you gone about doing that?
I think therapy has definitely helped a lot. I got to get more consistent with it for sure, but definitely
Hmm.
when I was going, it was definitely very beneficial. And also just taking times for self-care. It's very important. Doing things you enjoy just to relax and de-stress.
So give us some examples, Bryce. In Bryce's life, what is it looking like? What does self care look like to you?
Recently, I started reading again, and that's been
Awesome.
helping a lot. Working out, we have a squat rack in the garage, so a lot of times I'll just either hit the heavy bag or just start lifting some weights, and that'll help. Or going for a walk.
All right, all right. And how's the job going? Tell us a little bit about the work environment. I'm sure that's not a. I mean, you probably love the job. You've been there for a while, but I'm sure it comes with its own stressors, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely getting better now. I feel like I've become a lot more confident talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a big issue my entire life. But now because I'm like actually having to face people constantly every day, have these conversations and these interactions, I feel like I'm getting more social because of it.
Got you. Was it tough for you to kind of grow into that?
It was, yeah, very much so.
Got you. And me knowing, I don't know how much you want to get into, but I know we've definitely had our own battles as you were growing and dealing with biological mom issues and things like that, that
Mm.
so many of us already know about. Oh, you good? Uh-oh. Did we lose you? You still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I had an alarm.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem. No problem. So going through those kinds of issues and dealing with, well, wouldn't say dealing with, but growing up in the family and things like that, there've always been things that you had to push past and all of that. And talk to us a little bit just about not going into, oh, I had this kind of life growing up, blase blase blah, but just in terms of being young and growing and so many changes in life, because there's so many young folks out there these days. A lot of people go through it, parents divorce and so on and so forth. But what are some of the things that have kept you kind of grounded and in a or able to get to a good space, like going through all of that? Sure.
Sorry about that. Do you mind repeating the last part?
Sure, no problem. Like what are some of the things, like how do you feel like you've handled that coming up and a lot of the changes? Like what's helped keep you grounded? And is there anything that you would tell other folks younger than you in terms of how best to handle situations in life in a general sense, not necessarily specific exactly to what you went through, but just changes in life that really affect the family and those sorts of things? Because a lot of times we see children really go downhill, when
Mm.
those sorts of things happen, when the family dynamic changes and all of that. So, we've really got a story to tell, and a lot of people know about the story, but I don't want to go too much into detail, but just in a
Right.
in a kind of general sense.
Yeah. It was kind of tough. I think a lot of times I kind of felt like I didn't really fit in, like with the whole family dynamic. But I think as I grew up and as we, spent more time together and started doing more things together, as a family and all that, um, I've started to kind of grow into that role a bit more, I guess. But yeah, definitely when I was younger, it felt like a lot of times it was hard to really like feel like I fit in. I
Hmm.
think a lot of kids maybe going through that as well.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for children? Even if we just spoke specifically to blended families, let's say that,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people, go through that. Parents divorce, remarry, things like that. Any thoughts on like advice for younger folks who may be going through a situation with blended families?
Um, just speak up, communicate how you feel. I think that's very important. I've always struggled with like communication issues, and I think that was part of the reason why I felt so, I guess, like unheard when I was
Mm.
younger because I wasn't advocating for myself. So just speak up, and even if you are, afraid to have those conversations, if you want to better yourself and better your situation, you actually have to, advocate for yourself.
I appreciate that. And I want to say, as a parent to other parents, we need to listen. And even when the children aren't speaking up verbally, I think there's a lot that we miss as parents. So I want to advise other parents out there, as much as Bryce is advising the young folks to speak up, I want to advise the parents to listen, number one, but also to speak too, because I mean, speak in the sense of asking the questions, and working to have the conversations and things like that, that we did sometimes as parents, speaking personally, we did sometimes as parents and sometimes we didn't. And we could definitely do a better job. And I know that I see a lot like with some parents, I'm not going to name no names, but with some parents who kind of live in denial. And I feel like we get into a place where we're becoming, I can't say necessarily across the board, but I think a lot of people we're just getting to an age where as parents, we are understanding the fact that we have to get past this part of thinking like we're always right and
Right.
that whole
Definitely.
sort of thing. Thoughts?
Oh, I completely agree.
You can be honest, be candid. If I was a shit dad, you can say I was a shit dad at
No,
school.
no, you were
No.
great. No, 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 no. You were great. Could you
Oh,
have
thank
been
you, thank you,
better
thank
in
you.
certain areas? Yeah, of course.
Okay, all
But
right, cool. Yeah,
everyone can.
right.
Yeah.
And I think
But
it's big. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's important that people also, recognize where they have room for improvement and actually make changes. And I see that about you, and I really respect that.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And vice versa. I really look at it when I think back. I remember that day, and I tell people this story. Day you came home, and you were pissed about something. I can't even remember what it was. And you left out, and you've been with Jason ever since. And I mean, and
Yeah.
living as your roommate and things like that. I'm not, you went over there and stayed there. But from that point, like it's amazing because that was really like the turning point. And as much as we as parents really work to hold on and keep our hands on the situation and all of that,
Mm.
in this case, and I'm sure other people can attest to it too, in this case, that was the best thing that ever could have happened.
Yeah, definitely.
It's tremendous how much that changed our relationship.
Yeah. Sometimes you need space in order
Yeah,
to make things better.
I agree. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so glad you got mad for whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. But you was mad and you left out, and our relationship was so much better ever since. So
Yeah.
parents, I want to advise you, if you're having trouble with your kids, just put them out. They'll be better.
I
No, I'm
mean,
not.
yeah.
No, no, don't. I shouldn't say put them out. Just piss them off to the point where they decide to leave on their own, because that's what
Yeah.
happened. We didn't put you out. You decided you was finished. That was on you, but a lot has changed.
I
I
think it's
know you
also time
mentioned
though.
therapy and things like that. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you would attribute, what I mean, as far as your growth and things like that? Of course, the space being apart from us, I know that's key. But
Mm.
just talk to us about that evolution from that time you moved out until now, and how much you have changed, which has brought about the change in the relationship.
Right. I think mostly just time and just, growing up and maturing. Because I think I didn't really do much differently these past few years, but just naturally just growing and maturing over the years, I think has helped me just mellow down and realize, yeah, no, I definitely did some dumb stuff as a kid.
Yeah. And your parents knew what they was talking about a little bit, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Just,
Because even
just,
talking to you guys now, you know
just a little bit.
exactly what we're going through.
That's something. That's why I think we all do it as kids. At some point, we get to the point where we just feel like our parents don't know shit, and we just like we know everything. They don't know
Right.
nothing, and all of that.
Exactly.
You gonna do it too if you ever have kids and
Yeah.
bring them into this world, they
I
gonna get
don't
to
know
that
about
point.
that.
They gonna get to that point. But
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit, like in terms of what you see, like, because I really feel like I see this generation, yourself, your sisters, especially your younger brother, really a generation where people are starting not only to, like I said, talked about take charge of their mental health, but also
Mm.
get into a space where they're more free in terms of just being who they are. Do you feel like it's a real time for that where things are changing so much? Like I just went to a pride parade the other day and there's tons of young folks, teenagers, and people just being who they are. What do you think about the times that we're in now in regard to that?
I love it. Yeah. I love the confidence that it gives people to just openly be themselves. I think that's great. And also the fact that people are, able to talk about mental illness because of that.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I think so too. I love it. I appreciate it. And even like young people like yourself just opening up about therapy, like that's
Right.
definitely new. And especially as young black men, do you see like counterparts and things like that? How do you view your counterparts, like people at work who may be around your age and things like that? Do you feel like as black men they get an understanding of like how important it is, or do you still see people who are kind of like, nah, that ain't for me, I ain't blah blah blah?
It's a mix of both.
Hmm.
I think we're definitely seeing more people on both sides, young and older, who understand or are starting to understand the importance of therapy and talking about, mental health. But of course, there are still those people who still have antiquated ideas about,
Yeah,
mental health and all that trickles down generations.
yeah, no doubt. And I think again, like you said, in terms of time, I think it makes a huge difference because we know where we come from, where it was just like, go lay down. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
depressed. You just say go lay down or whatever. Get over it.
Exactly.
To this now, which I think is a beautiful thing, especially for young folks. And I like I said, I really want to take this platform, and I appreciate you coming on for real
Yeah.
because I want to encourage other young folks. My biggest thing was like when I got to the point where I really understood just how much I lived for the validation of other people and needed that in my
Mm.
life and didn't even feel confident in myself. I was just like, I don't want other people to have to take this long and be as old as I am before they really start to get it. So
Right.
I really want to pour into young people's lives and help them understand that they don't have to get that validation. Like they are enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I definitely, started with my own kids, and I always want them or you all to understand that point, and I want everybody to get it too because I think it's very important. We do a lot of things, lot of things because we don't have that confidence in ourselves, and
Right.
we rely on other people kind of to fill that void, like girlfriends, stuff like that. Yeah.
Speaking of,
Yeah. What? Speaking of what? What's going on? You got something to tell me?
nah, I may have reached out to an
Uh,
ex
uh,
when I probably shouldn't have.
oh
But,
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
but nah, things are in the works. We're doing better.
Hit that noise too.
Oh, my bad.
Thank you. Talk to us a little bit about that. No, I don't know if you want to go into it, but no, I get it. I
Oh,
understand.
actually, I do a little bit. On that note, I've started taking medication for my
Okay.
anxiety, and I feel like that's been helping a lot.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you
Hmm.
mentioned that. And I've been on it for years.
Right.
So it's I feel like I feel, but I'm glad that you mentioned it because it can be necessary for a lot of people, and I don't want
Definitely.
people to feel like they have to fight against it, even if you don't want it. Because I'll say that's the last thing I want is to have to take this medicine. I don't want to, but I know full well the difference between when
Exactly.
I do take it and when I don't.
It's such a big difference too.
Yeah, and I know I don't like feeling how I feel when I don't take it, so I take
Right.
it. So, and I think everybody has to do what works for them. I'm not telling everybody to take medicine. I'm not telling everybody to smoke weed just because I do it.
Right.
Telling people to do, they got to do what works for them. So I feel like, did I ask you already? Like, what are some of the things that you do? Like, just for you? We
Yeah,
talking
that's
just
another thing. Smoking weed. That's definitely
okay,
another one.
okay, all right. And you sure you can say your job is all right with that? If I put this on YouTube, you be all right. You better find
Yeah,
out. I might have to edit this part. No.
we'll find out.
I don't know, but I do appreciate the candidness because
Yeah.
that's huge. And that's something like why I became so open with it recently because I wanted to come out the proverbial closet, because I really felt like I was hiding that from a lot of people. But
Right.
if I'm going to go on this journey and I'm really going to go on this journey to talk about my mental well being and things like that, I have to be authentic. I had to be true to what's really helping me. And I can't
Exactly.
just say, yes, the prescription drugs, they do help. And the non prescription drugs help
Help
too,
as well.
help a
Yep.
lot. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think we definitely need to be open and honest about that. So,
Yep.
it's a good thing. Um, that you shared that provided the job is okay with it. I ain't trying to get nobody fired. Trust me and believe me. Trust me and believe me. So Bryce, what
Mm,
do you have any kinds of affirmations or anything that you tell yourself on a regular basis?
mm.
Because you are object in motion. I need to know how you stand in motion. What are these things that you do? I know, you said the reading and the things like that, but is there anything in terms of something, and it don't have to be like, we don't all have certain sayings, but are
Mm.
there any routines that you do, any meditation, yoga, anything like that that works just to help, what I mean, in terms of the mental and what's the word I'm looking for in terms of just strengthening, your mindset.
Yeah. It's gonna sound weird.
Okay.
So I like to think of myself as like two people sometimes.
Okay.
Like the me that's me, but then also a me that's like the ideal version of me that's already
Hmm.
been through everything I've been through. So a lot of times when I'm going through it, that version of me will be like, "It's okay. You're gonna be okay. I got you. Everything's gonna be all right."
Gotcha. I love it. That's positive self-talk. I do that too. I tell myself tranquilo, or I tell even before that, I would just close my eyes and just repeat that everything's gonna be okay because I deal with anxiety too.
Yeah.
So I can easily get myself worked up. So positive self-talk is good for you.
Yep.
That's awesome. Any other coping mechanisms, like anything else, like especially anything you got from your therapist or anybody?
Um. Nah. See, I haven't been to therapy in a minute, even though
Oh,
I
okay.
advocate for it. It's been a
Okay.
while.
So how'd you develop that? Just on your own? It was just natural on your own as far as the thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
that's
And also
beautiful.
just like looking at things online and stuff like that, because I
Yeah.
know I've had anxiety for a while.
Okay. Okay. And as far as the social media goes, are you a heavy social media head? Do you dive
And
in it, get lost in the
I
abyss?
dabble. There are times where I do find myself just scrolling, and I
Mm-hmm.
kind of hate that. But a lot of times I can recognize that, and I think that's important. Recognizing when you spend way too much time just scrolling,
Yeah.
and you can be doing other things like taking a walk or going to
Yeah.
work out, something like that. But for the most part, I don't have like TikTok or anything like that because I found it just way too distracting. So I just use like Instagram and Reddit and stuff. But even with that, I feel like sometimes it's too much.
I got you. I love it. I love it. And finally, my last question before we close out. Talk to me about. So I have this thing. I don't know if I've talked to you about it before, but basically, when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I really started to focus on my good days and all of that sort of stuff. And I call it count your wins. So like whenever, whatever it is, it's a positive thing that happened, something you were able to get done, whatever it is, count your
Mm.
wins, because we can have 100 good things happen to us, and we like, okay, that was great, but as soon as one negative thing comes along, then that's all we want to focus on. So
Yep.
I just encourage people to focus on those positive things, like even the what we consider the smallest of things. So just give it to us in whatever your time frame is, whenever it was, recent wins, yesterday, last week, whatever it was.
Today actually, I had
Okay.
a really good day at work.
Nice.
Yeah, everything went
Fantastic.
smoothly. All my social interactions went pretty well. So, yeah,
I'm glad of that. I'm happy for you. And how long you been here?
almost 3 years.
Almost 3?
Yep.
Okay. And you're going back to school and you're looking
Yep.
to get into what?
Aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering. How
Yes,
long
sir.
will it take before you can be that as a
Um,
professional?
4 to 5 years, but ideally, I'd want to go back for either likely my master's, probably not a PhD, and then that would probably be another 2 years. So maybe like seven total.
You ready to commit to all that? You already 23. You're gonna be 30 years old.
I think so.
Okay.
Undergrad at least.
All
I'll
right. I'm
reconsider the
not trying to
master's
talk
at
you
the end.
out of it. I'm not trying to bring it down. Don't be like, oh well,
Yeah.
at least just no. I'm sorry. I ain't. I'm just double checking. I don't want to deter you.
Yeah, no, I think I'm definitely ready for at least some form of school
Okay.
right now. So definitely the undergrad.
All right. And let me just ask you this. I just thought about this because I know that not long ago in therapy, I've discovered, certain things that connect to childhood,
Mm,
and I think that's important. I don't think it's necessarily a question. I think it's probably more of a comment, I would say, just to encourage you to be mindful, like as you go through therapy, to think about like some of those things, like because we know things that have happened as you grew up, but we don't always like once we get older, we don't always make the connections and understand. Oh, yeah, as a 45-year-old man, I'm acting like this because when I was 7, this was going on and I never healed from that and all of that sort of stuff. So it's not a question. We're not going into that, and bringing up all of that stuff. But just as a comment, I want you and other young people to understand as well too, like while you're doing that therapy, make sure that you really work to make those connections, and
yeah,
understand just how much things that happened in the past, if you don't really work to get over them and you kind of just stuff them down and push them in the back of your head, like they'll come up and you'll be 45, 47 like me, and like, why am I like this? And then you go back and you understand. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I made a
So,
connection the other day actually.
okay. You care to discuss or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I growing up, I found that you were quick to anger
Mm-hmm.
often,
Mm,
and I realized a lot of times I kind of move quickly and like anxiously,
mm.
and I realized that may have been because of that, trying to
Okay.
move quickly, not to take too long and stuff like that.
Was you scared to tell me that?
A little bit.
I can understand it. I'm good now. I'm in a good space now where it's like you can tell me whatever. Like I'm so accountable because I understand. I know I'm far from a perfect parent, and I'm so able to deal with that now, and I can even apologize for my wrongs and all of that sort of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
You as a parent, not to make excuses, but a lot of times, especially as fathers, like we learning on the job,
right.
and I think that's very important to understand. And again, not that it excuses things, but it is a reason why certain things happen as they do sometimes, because a lot of us are learning on the job. You and your brother 17 months apart. So it ain't, what I mean? I didn't have a lot of time to learn from raising him before you came along,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it was, y'all were really growing together, and there was a lot of things that I had to learn as as a father, and even as you all got older. God, you're gonna make me cry on this show, man. But no, but it's important because we don't always see it. You know, when you're in the storm, you can't really see it because you're in the middle of it, and you
Right.
don't always know, your flaws and your faults until you step back and you can look from the outside and really look back at yourself and say, you know what, I was that, and that wasn't right, and I apologize. You know what I'm saying? So it's good that you did that, and I'm glad that you brought that to me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad. I just wish I could have been better. Of course, I'm dealing with my own health stuff, which had an effect on that, and definitely gave me. I was just thinking about that earlier today because I was actually looking up something in mood swings, depression and mood swings, and also fibromyalgia because I didn't know that fibromyalgia could cause mood swings.
Mm-hmm.
So these sorts of things, again, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm just
Right.
saying, I'm a person who has faced a lot of health issues coming along, and some of them were ones that definitely made me a lot less patient,
Right.
and for that, if I caused you harm with that, I truly apologize.
It's okay.
And we can wrap it up because I'm getting ready to have a river in this. Oh, I'm getting ready to have a river, but man, I'm so very glad you joined me. I am, even though you made all that noise and all that stuff. But no,
My
it's
bad.
it's great to have this conversation, and I appreciate it. And I know I want to talk to more young people and get their perspective and understand, like, how they feel in this environment because there's a whole lot going on. It's crazy stuff, but at the same time, like I said, at least we are getting to a place where people can be much more transparent
Right.
and people are much more compassionate too. It's still a lot of people out there who are assholes and they don't want to hear it and all of that,
Yeah.
But I think overall we're getting to a point where people are A, much more compassionate, and people are B, much more resilient and not worried. So if people aren't being so compassionate to them, it's like, okay, well, you're not gonna break me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Exactly.
you're being an asshole. I'm gonna be all right. You can be an asshole if you want. I'm still gonna be all right.
Definitely.
So I love it. I love it. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to see you.
Me
And
too.
damn, so this was so good. I appreciate you, Bryce. I really do. And I am about to let you go in just a minute. People, thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Objects in Motion. I have been joined today by my youngest son, Bryce, who is definitely in motion. He's got it going on. He's been telling you about all that he's doing for his mental well being, his physical well being, and what he has coming up in the future. And I want to salute him on his growth, his evolution, because I know from whence he's come and I know where he is today. And I'm so very proud of you, Bryce. I want you to know that. And I love you with all my heart and soul.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you for joining me.
Of course.
Peace.
Peace.